What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Click Gaming's weekly podcast. We're going to talk about how to get involved in tournaments, all the way from like being in high school or younger to collegiate, and then all the way up to pro level. And then we'll talk about the business side of like how to get involved in tournaments on a business aspect and what tournaments can add to your business. But we have a tournament coming up this weekend, actually. It is the Army 2v2 gunfight, $250 prize pool with bonus prizes. You win an Xbox, some gamer packs. Currently have 17 teams signed up, and then 22 pending. So if you're pending, make sure you sign up, finish your sign up with your teammate. But we'll get into it. So as a high schooler or younger, say middle school, how do you get involved in tournaments? Like, what's kind of your first step? Whether it's Call of Duty or Rocket League or whatever.
Your first step is just honestly just Google online, Call of Duty tournaments. There's going to be so many that's going to pop up. Or if you're in a Facebook group that say you search for Call of Duty, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, is there any tournaments coming up, guys? So just social media is the easiest route to take. And besides just word of mouth or going to a GameStop and saying, hey, have you guys heard about anything coming up? And they're like, oh, well, I know this company. Or no, you Google it. Simple stuff.
And yeah, I mean, I would definitely lean towards free for starting out because you don't know how you're going to do. I mean, you may be a pub star, meaning you pop off in public matches and do well, which doesn't necessarily mean you'll do well in a tournament. I do well all the time in public matches, and then always getting third and fourth in tournaments.
So there's kind of two different avenues to go down, right? And I don't know which one we're going down, but I just want to kind of bring it up. So you can kind of get involved in tournaments for fun, right? Like you just want to do something on a Saturday. And there's also like, hey, I want to get involved in esports later on. Like I want to play in, college or I don't know, I mean, high school probably has teams starting up, but like high school, college, like there's kind of two different routes. So I don't know. We want to talk about like the differences and like talk about one versus the other.
Yeah, we can start off with like just casual because I feel like that's most of your player base. Even though most of your casual players, I don't think are in tournaments right now. I mean, I guess a lot of them would be considered casual just because they're not earning money. But that's kind of like a self-decision. Like, do I want to be a casual? Do I care about trying to take home first place? Or do I care about just having fun with my friends and just competing? Johnny, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I mean, like I said, it honestly just depends on how sweaty you want to go. Do you want to be a Homestar Hero or do you want to try to make a name for it on a public house figure type thing, I mean, kids nowadays, I remember growing up playing, Mario Kart, GoldenEye, stuff like that. I was always the guy that no one wanted to take on because I'd always beat their ass. But of course, that could just be, I'm good at the game here, but then now you're going to try it on a different level. And now you're getting your ass kicked and you're like, what's going on? It's because those guys have trained extremely compared to your little casual Homestar Hero-ness,
Yeah, I guess you're competing against your three friends down the block versus everybody in the state, like a big LAN or something.
Yeah.
And your casual mindset, obviously, you can transform into either. You could be a casual player and then take it to I won this one. Maybe I'm actually good at this. I'm going to be competing, Sunday and Saturday now instead of just Sunday. Right. And like you said, the easiest way, I mean, we're on Battlefy. There's plenty of other sites that you can look on. Game Sharks is another big one or a good one. But you just got to go in there and search. I mean, you got to find your game one that you want to play on and that you want to compete with. And you just got to search and then sign up. Like I said, I would start with free or nothing, like $10. $10 is, to me, essentially free. But I have a full-time job. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, I would rather spend $10 or $20 entering into a tournament, knowing I have a good chance of maybe winning $100 or $200 instead of blowing $300 for a team past MLG Dallas plus hotel plus flight, and you get your shit pushed in within the first 30 minutes. And then now what are you going to do the rest of 3 days besides walk around and
watch everybody else?
Watch other people do well. Yeah. But then, like Chance said, you want to get involved with your high school as a team. and say they don't have a team, you should start a club, like an esports club, or I don't know. You probably wouldn't start a Call of Duty club, but esports would probably get a lot more people involved. If you just made an esports club to either compete against other players or to take your school to compete against other people. Because I see esports having teams, and I mean, not every high school, but a lot of high schools will have multiple teams for multiple different esports events. Because right now, what kind of leagues are going on now, Johnny? Here in Oklahoma, don't they have Overwatch, right?
They've got
Smash.
Overwatch, Smash. They try to keep away from like the gruesome like shooters like Call of Duty because of how the blood guts, blah 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 blah. But there's Smite, there's League of Legends, like I said, Overwatch. I'm sure I'm missing it. There's probably some sports ones like NBA,
Rocket
FIFA,
League.
whatever. But they try to follow what is on the pro scene, but also what the colleges are doing because I mean that's what the kids are going to transition into, and it's into a college eventually, you know.
Right.
So yeah, but for the most part, it's either like I said, Smash, Rocket League, like I said, Valorant, Overwatch, some Call of Duty, depending on how they are, some Fortnite, but then some kind of sports game as well.
So yeah, first step would be playing in events, either starting your high school. And I mean, obviously, starting a high school club is a lot of work, but starting a club, being involved, and you got to play. I mean, you got to compete. And then once you get from there, you want to transition into college, right? Show you're kind of using your events to almost make like a highlight film, like a football player.
It's a gaming resume. That's what I tell people. It's a gaming resume.
Gaming resume is a good way to put it. I'd say like football, like we had Huddle. Huddle has had all of our film on there, and as a player, if you wanted to go to the next level, you would go in and you'd clip different pieces of you doing well, put them on your profile, and then you'd share that with your coaches. So you would want to do something like that to show these colleges, hey, I know what I'm doing. Like, okay, it was an online tournament, but let me come to your tryout and I'll show you what I can do.
Yeah, it's like scouting. That's all it is, just scouting, man.
Building that, like you said, gaming resume.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take it to the next level, I mean, anybody could say I'm good. Well, what do you have to show for it? Oh, well, I like to play it online. That's not going to get you far, man.
That might do you okay now, just because it hasn't taken off. Like, it's not to where obviously college football is yet, or where you have to put in a lot of effort and everybody wants to do it. But you can also get involved on the college side of your college has a club, like an esports club. Like I'm sure OCU has a esports club, right?
Yeah, OCU does, UCO, ECU, Rogers, OSU. There's so many colleges that have their own esports club, and a lot of them are getting their esports arenas now. Like you said, UCO opened up co-op, and now OCU is about to open theirs up literally within probably 2 to 3 weeks. And so the transition's kind of going everywhere. Like I said, same with these high schools. There's a lot of coaches that I've met that they're either a math teacher or they're social studies, but they're also involved with esports because they're a gamer themselves. So that's how they're trying to incorporate these kids. So whenever we had our Smash Bros. East versus West, one was in Oklahoma City at OCU, one was up north in Tulsa. I forgot which college or high school put it on, but we had over like 45 students on our side. They had like 38. And so it was just who was, the best out of East and West. And so that's just how there was literally, I think, 12 to 14 different high schools that brought their 6 best players out. They just had fun.
I just thought of a cool idea that we could expand to, but maybe I should save it for offline.
Don't let people know our secrets.
No, it's not that good. But doing a cool like teacher versus student kind of thing would be pretty cool for high schools. Teachers would get clobbered. But
they would. They would.
But anyway, so back to college. Some of our players want to skip college and go straight to pro, but I mean, how many players can skip college and go to pro? Like, in their game, maybe 100.
You're gonna have to be the next Scumpy or Pomage or Zuma or someone like that, because this isn't LeBron James or Kobe going straight from grassroots to majors. You've got to put a name for yourself. So the way to do that is go on to game battles or something and get in the actual gritty leagues and bust people's asses in their heads. That's how you get known. You take out Optic Gaming and you're just some random person that jumped in there, you're going to get some eyes looked at you, but you got to make sure those eyes are good and not bad ones,
And then definitely you're going to want to clip that for your gaming resume. And that's where a company like us, since we stream 70% of our tournaments for the main stuff that we do, you want to look back at the Twitch VOD or ask us for like, hey, can I get that raw footage? We send you that raw footage and you clip stuff of yourself, like doing plays.
So that may be something you want to take into account, right? When you're searching around looking for tournaments to join, like, do they do production? Like, are they going to be able to give me like footage of the tournament, or like, am I going to have to capture myself, or how's that going to work out? So that's definitely something to consider when you're looking around trying to find tournaments.
Well, I've had, I think it was our 1v1 tournament this last, was that last week or 2 weeks ago with the Marines?
Last week,
I had a player ask me, they were going to play on our 2v2, and one of the players asked another guy on our Discord if he could play with him. The guy messaged me and said, hey, do you have any videos of this guy playing? Because I want to, he wants to be my teammate. And I'm
wanting to see if he's any good.
Yeah. And I mean, that's probably the first time that's happened, or to us at least, or to me.
But I mean, there's a reason why people are in it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're playing for $300 and you have no skin in the game, $0 entered, like, yeah, I'm trying to win.
Right.
I want the cash, bro.
Or at least win that Xbox and then sell it for cash.
Exactly.
Anyways, so Chance brings up a good point. Like, maybe pay attention to see if there's going to be stream, or if you can stream it yourself. For whatever reason, some tournaments don't allow you to stream. I don't know why that's a thing.
Stream sniping.
Which we did have that come up before, but I mean, put a delay on, like, you'll avoid all that. You put a minute delay.
So for those who don't know what stream sniping is, can we get a 30-second what is stream sniping?
Basically, well, if you're in gaming, you know what stream sniping is, but I'll go ahead and explain it. Look up Ninja stream sniping.
Possible, but we don't know.
So it's like if I'm playing against Johnny, he's streaming, I pull up his Twitch or YouTube or whatever that he's streaming on. I watch it to know where he's going to be so that I can have an advantage on him.
Yeah, because you'll get a point of view, right? You can see what guns he's rocking, right?
Yeah.
You get a lot of information about him, and if it's live, then
you want to put delays on.
Yeah, so I had a stream delay. That's basically what to get.
Especially on search and destroy on games that are one life. You've got, if you know where someone's camping, you're gonna go right there and whoop their ass.
Yeah,
right.
Well,
Sniper
gunfight. Yeah. Well, and even I'd say Warzone tournaments, okay, kill race not that big a deal, but if you're versing 2v2, I'd still put a delay on so they can't hear your strategy in game. If your strategy is to try to pick up kills a certain way, it might not seem like a big deal, but in the long run it could be an advantage.
It can cost you.
So yeah, make sure you have a stream delay. Did that kind of explain it for you, Chance?
Yeah. I just wanted to be sure that everybody knew what stream sniping was. We were talking about it.
Chance doesn't know what it is, so it's fine.
It's like you mentioned.
So we have a delay. We put a delay on. We put a minute delay, at least a minute delay.
Yeah, we do,
because we don't want to be the reason you lose.
Right. So that comes back to the point of something to ask when you're getting involved in tournaments. Like if they are streaming, are they going to mess you over because they don't have a stream delay on it, right? Things to think about when you're just getting involved in tournaments.
I've seen tournaments do that where they were streaming it and they didn't put a stream delay and it was the company that did it. And people
something to think
cheated
about
and looked at the
tournaments.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Well, it's like you mentioned a while ago, Evan, about the whole clip thing. Like for instance, when we had the Overwatch event, we had literally Oklahoma State University inside of it winning it, but they had such a huge fan base. So now, of course, if there's clips of this or that, they can take it back to their professors and say, "Hey, this is why you guys have me." Or now, let's say if one of the major Overwatch teams wants to pick these guys up, now they have a highlight reel of, "Oh, this guy's freaking badass. Let's pick him up," type thing. So it helps out,
Production doesn't just help us and doesn't help marketing for other companies. I mean, it helps the gamer in the long run.
Right.
Just bolster your resume.
Hey, there could be random college what coach, right? Some random college esports coach is watching the stream like, oh, hey, look, they freaking killed it, Like, you never know what could happen.
These kids could be like an undergrad at OSU, then all of a sudden, let's say that Princeton or whatever wants to pick them up for their major team. We're going to give you $20,000 to be on here. It's like, oh shit, okay,
right? Yeah, they just see some tournament you were played in, or see something from it, and like, oh hey, like we should talk to that guy.
Yeah, and like so, we try to get the best moments. Like for instance, we were watching that game, and that dude got a sextuple kill. He killed the entire freaking team in a diva blast, and we had it on camera. So that just goes to show you the strategic areas of what can happen. And so having those highlights, I tell people that grassroots and local lands is kind of like a high school level. When you come to online tournaments and stuff, it's kind of like semi-pro, and then when you go to pro, of course, it's pro. So we're that in-between factor of what can help you go to the next step if you do everything correctly.
Right, you still got to put the legwork in, but it's one of the stepping stones.
Yeah, you still got to grind. We might be glossing over the grind aspect, but you still have to grind.
You still got to play every weekend for 4 years or whatever. Get good, get some clips going, get your resume built, you got to
read Ninja's book. Yeah,
get some teams going.
It took me 3 years to become pro on Halo, and I used to grind out 12 to 16 hours a day.
Exactly. So,
I still grinded that much after I became it.
Things to think about and how to do it.
Yeah,
and like you said, it won't happen overnight. You get, who was I listening to? Gary Vaynerchuk today was saying, you're making content now, but you might not see any kind of progress 5 to 10 years. And I know that sucks to hear, but that's the way it is. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We're grinding, and so it shouldn't be any different for you. I mean, okay, you might have a viral clip, and that'll definitely help you. That might cut a year off of it, or a year and a half. But
but you think big picture esports, right? It's not near as crazy as basketball or football where you turn 35 or 40 and you're done, right? Esports, you can compete for a lot longer. May not be the
especially
same
the semi-pro level,
but you can compete for a lot longer in esports because it's not as hard on it's not as physical on
their joints and everything.
Yeah, you play basketball and you're 35 years old out of the NBA, you're getting up there, but
you can be overweight and play.
You can play for quite a while. So hey, say you're 18 and you put in 10 years of work, you're still 28. That's still young as shit.
Yeah. I've put in 19 years and I could have kept playing, but like I said, back surgery screwed everything up for that. But that's why I transitioned to what I'm so good at, which is now being an admin, being a caster, working for the major scene. So you don't have to, even if your thumbs don't work as well as they used to, you can still transition the esports into something else that you like. And you can still be involved with it somehow.
Well, even casting is a huge deal. People are always looking for quality casters, especially if you've played. That's even basketball. A lot of those casters, they
come and cast.
Maybe not necessarily play-by-play, but the color commentator usually is somehow affiliated with that organization, like NBA. What is his name? Daniel Boone.
Even play breakdowns.
Yeah. Even one of the old refs for, I think it's NBA for sure. One of the old refs, he retired a couple years ago, and now he goes on TNT or whatever, and they ask him oh, if you're a ref, what would you think? I'm sure he gets paid handsomely to just sit there until a penalty is called and tell him what he thinks the refs are thinking.
So this is what happened. He went over here and he got a chopping foul on this guy, and he just fell to the ground and flopped. He probably made $5,000 just saying that 30-second word.
Probably. Every time they go to add $5,000 to his paycheck.
Right.
But there's so many different avenues. Even if you just played in college, pros aren't necessarily going to always stick around. But let's transition from pro or from college into pro. You kind of have to do the same grinding session that you did to go from high school to college. Am I right, Johnny?
Pretty much. You've always got to grind no matter what you do. And here's the thing is, I'll tell you this, you're going to get your ass beat, but even the pros get beat. So don't let it get to your head. If you can keep your head growing and that's the thing too, is that teammates will come and go that don't share the same passion. But once you build that same core and then you guys build that core up, you'll be unstoppable. But you will have times where a great player will come in there And you might not get first, you might get fourth. Well, he still gets pissy he didn't win, and then he's off the team. And so now all that chemistry you tried building is out the wazoo, and you got to rebuild it up. So having in like we call just the Ben brother core, that's what you want. That's why me and the guys have played literally since Halo 3, and we still play everything together. Some games we might suck at, but we still have fun doing it. We just keep grinding because that's what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, I mean, you and Brett and all them play pretty regularly.
Since 2007 or 8, we've been playing all the way from, like I said, Halo to COD. Like I said, Halo's my jam, COD's their jam, and we just intertwine and just have fun with it,
Okay, I say we transition into the business side. This is a little more of Chance's side, I guess. He's not a gamer. Anyways, so how do you get involved with esports on the business side for, say, high school? Johnny might have a good answer for that.
How to get in the esports side for high school? Like, are we talking about like
say you want to start a high school league?
Oh, okay. From there, you pretty much would just go and, of course, ask different students, hey, if we created this, you always want to get your heads up to present. You want a pitch deck like we tell anybody when it comes to sponsors. So let's say you do a survey, you get 100 petitions on there that says, I want to play in an esports league. Now you present that to your principal or your teacher that's involved, and they'll produce to the higher ups. This many kids are involved. This would be a great program to teach them into that. And so all it takes is just asking a few questions. And then from there, the worst answer you'll get is no. And you don't know until you try,
Chance, you have anything to say about that?
Oh, and that's the deal. Is like all the stuff start itself, right? Like if you want something to happen, like make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, is there any money in high school esports? Johnny?
I mean, there
Not
can
really
be
right now, but
not really. You'll get more of anything like trophies and stuff like that because they don't want. It's kind of like the same thing with college. You can't pay your professional athletes. I know that whole scandal thing is going through, or it might have been through by now, but you don't want to pay your athletes to do something because now it's a job. But letting them win championship rings, like any kind of high school sport, or winning a trophy, jerseys, that's different because now they've earned it, but you're not paying them.
Right, because there's all sorts of regulations around schools. Like the players can't make money in school. Basically, there's just so many regulations or rules about paying to play, and so like basically, if you're in school, you're not going to make money. Right, college they can give you scholarships, but like you're not going to actually bring in dollars from anything until you get out of school. Just because there's so much.
I mean, you can make money on the side, like playing in a free event. You could.
Oh yeah, you can go play in tournaments and make some money. But
as far as representing the school, you couldn't.
Yeah, as far as playing in high school, you're not going to get paid for that.
But I mean, having a trophy on your wall, would. Hey, I won the Oklahoma high school. If
you're trying to go pro, like you have to do, right? That's part of the whole game is to play through high school and to build up and like guys, that's a ton of experience, right? And then play the college gig and then go pro.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if a college asks you, well, why should we pick you up for this? Well, you might not have heard of me because you didn't do your research, but here's what I've done. This is what I've won. This is the placements we've had, etc. Now there's a reason why they want to pick you up,
Exactly.
It's like whenever we took on UCO's Call of Duty team, they were fresh kids, and we're just the dad squad. We beat the shit out of them multiple times, and now they literally just took fourth out of a collegiate, I think, 250 player roster thing. So I mean, they're clearly, as you can tell from us playing with them, us teaching them what they need to do. Now they've transitioned to where they are a semi-pro, almost pro caliber team. And it's just from grinding and learning.
Beat the crap out of me.
A team synergy, right? To get that team that actually play well together and to build up and just build a play in general, right? So it takes time to build all that together and grow together and build a play together. Get strategies together, get plays together.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the thing too is that I took it. I wouldn't say underneath my wing, but I talked to the players individually. I'm like, hey, I noticed this was your weakness, this was your strength, this is where you guys messed up at. So just those things, just talking with somebody in general will help a person out, to get 10 times fold better than what they used to be. It's just a grind, just always a grind.
Well, as a player, you got to listen to that. I mean, I don't care if you're a high school, Call of Duty player or football player. You need to listen to your coach. That's the pros listen to their coach. Look at Russell Westbrook. He doesn't listen to his coach, and he doesn't have a championship.
Right.
I love that guy
It's
to death,
true.
but his ego. You can't let your ego get in the way.
No.
You already beat yourself by thinking you're better than the coach, and say half the things they say are wrong, the other half is right. Like, you need to listen to some of it. You have to be the judge of what information's coming in. I mean, that's just a life thing. People are going to give you advice, but you have to filter out what's actually good advice versus what's bad advice.
Yeah, the moment you stop thinking you've known everything and you can't learn anything else is the moment you realize you're a dumbass. You can always learn something. I've been in this, like I said, 19 years, and I'm still learning new stuff daily.
So say you are running high school events, or say college. What's the way to make, what's kind of your angle? Is it to boost up your personal tournaments? Like, say I run a collegiate league for colleges, obviously. How do you make money on that, I guess? Or how do you turn that into money? Maybe you don't profit directly off the league, but how do you turn that into money somewhere else?
There's two aspects. You could do buy an entry to where, let's say I'm going to charge you $20 a head for your team. Well, 10 of that goes towards event fee, 10 of it goes to pot. But now, if I'm renting out a building, if it costs me to do it, I'm gonna split my event cost, which is $10. Now 5 and 5, where I'll get 5. The event will get 5 itself, but the 10 still stays towards pot. And so that's what we would do for Call of Duty. Is we would charge gamers $10 a head, but $40 per pot. But now they're playing for $2,000, and all they're paying me is 40, which is then split with the area, which is now getting 20, half of that. So that's how you make money. And then, of course, if you grow big, but now you can reach out to, let's say, Monster or Papa John's or whoever, like the military, like we do, say, hey, I've got over 100 people here doing this land. Would you guys like to contribute and sponsor it? And we'll give you this in the backside. So now you're making extra money, but then you're also giving these gamers extra money on top of it. So it's the pyramid monopoly effect of where I'm going to help you out. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, and everybody's happy. And so it's just, like I said, it's again the grind factor, but that you got to establish yourself. Once you establish yourself and people understand who you are, that's when you can charge money, and you don't ever screw the gamer over. I always say, if you're going to charge them $10, they better win $100. They always want that high factor, because if you charge them 70, but they're only going to win 30, they're going to look at you and give you the bird and walk out. You can't be stingy like that.
Chance, do you have any thoughts on that kind of stuff?
I don't know. It kind of depends. Like, I feel like you could build up a backstory and maybe have a little more like dialogue about it, right? Like, is your goal to start a company running tournaments, right? So if you're trying to start a company running tournaments, like, there's kind of a backstory there. What's your end goal? And kind of work backwards from your end goal, figure out what gets you to your, what can I do today to get to my end goal in 5-10 years, whatever it is. And so, like, figure out what your end goal is, and it may change over time, but like kind of figure out where you're headed, right? And you kind of work backwards. So, like, if you want to run a lot of stuff for colleges, or you want to run a lot of stuff just in, for, maybe you do run high school stuff, maybe you do run college stuff, organize leagues and stuff, somebody's going to do it. So, like, if that's your goal, you just kind of figure out how to work towards that goal, right? So if you're running for colleges, you can charge like some sort of fee for being a part of the league, right? Charge a college like, hey, it's $3,000 a year or something and I'll, organize the events and get everybody together. In high school, like, you're not going to make money off the students or whatever, but like, sponsorships are big, same deal with college. Like, you can bring some sponsors on and be able to pay for some different things. It kind of depends on what your end goal is, right? If you're trying to run tournaments and like get big or just running tournaments, like, that's kind of a different story altogether. And maybe you don't want to get involved in the college side just because that's going to slow you down, and you want to get involved elsewhere. It's kind of going to work backwards from where you're going, like where you want to be, and figure out how you can apply that to today.
Man, no, I agree. Anytime I have anybody in my DMs ask me, hey, how do I get involved in esports? My first question is, what's your end goal?
Right.
What are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah. Because if you just want to,
like, okay, I want to play basketball, like, or, like, it's just like, do you want to play the Sunday league? Do you want to play in like pros? Like, what do you want to do?
I get that. It's like, I want to host events and make millions. I'm like, Don't we all?
Everybody love make millions.
You and the 75 other people in my DMs.
Right. What separates you? That's what I tell people. What separates you different than somebody else?
How do I make money without work? I feel like that's what everybody wants to know. How can I make a ton of money without working very hard?
Everybody sees these major companies, like I said, just booking it and doing this. I'm like, you realize they've been established for quite some time. That's why they're making the good money.
Yeah, they've been busting their tail for a while, and they got lucky.
Yeah.
An aspect I was going to mention was, say you run a college or high school event or leagues, your goal might be to, okay, well, I run this for them for free, or, I break even, but now I'm going to invite those players to play in my other tournaments that I run on Friday nights, and I'm going to get a sponsorship for that because they're playing for that. You know what I mean? Like kind of funneling, you have your goal, or not your goal, you have your events, and then you're funneling them to your other events as well. I don't know.
It's a pipeline effect.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. You guys might think that might not work.
No,
I don't know.
You can do that too. Well, that's the thing. Let's say, for instance, in Oklahoma, you're going to Edmond North, and all of a sudden, let's say you're a freshman. Of course, and it's up to your mom and dad. But Santa Fe is offering, future scholarships because they're tied in with OCU or something now. And they have this amazing esports program, and you're really good at gaming, but your school doesn't do it. I mean, that is another branding point. Is this place is popping off, and if whoever you're with, if your parents believe, hey, this is a true sport, this is what we can get you into, it would be smart on them to transfer your schools because now you're bettering yourself in the adulthood. And it's the same thing. So if these high schools have these amazing students where they can possibly get a pipeline effect towards a certain college, those colleges are going to now recruiting and scouting and stuff, no different. And so, if you're slacking, it's not helping you.
Yeah, get involved in a high school that has a real scout and a real college involved. Like, that's a big deal, right? It makes your job a lot easier if the scout's already there, or if they're already interested. Like, hey, we're already talking to your coaches, we're already involved in your organization. Like, that makes a ton of difference of like how hard you have to work to get there.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like whenever I was in that Collegiate Call of Duty Esports Discord, I think it had over 60, 70 different, professional colleges that did Call of Duty leagues. But of course, those kids are always, well, I'm good at this. So there was always the whose wiener is bigger than the other one contest inside there. And I just laughed because they were trying to talk about rules. It's like, that's not how this works. They're like, who are you? You don't know. There's scouts in here. I was like, yes, scouts are going to listen to you guys being this toxic and want to pick you up. I said, you're a fucking moron.
No, you're full of crap.
Yeah, and so that's why I got kicked out, because I called their bluffs. And I told the admins, was like, if you guys are going to run something, do it right. Don't half-ass this shit, because you're feeding these guys down the wrong areas, and they didn't like my input, and I got kicked out.
Yeah, you're the bad guy, Johnny.
Yeah.
I know. I try.
Okay, Johnny, this is more of a question for you, since Chance and I don't necessarily have experience in this, but how do you get involved with the pro stuff?
Again, grassroots is the best way. Now, are we talking as a player or as a host, or which aspect?
As a host, or whether you want to, I mean, obviously hosting your own pro stuff is a very tall feat, or maybe just assisting with pro stuff.
Yeah, maybe
again,
play from the angle of like just like not players, right? Like, so any way you want to go with it of not
right,
a player,
like an admin staff or something, like what I do with DreamHack.
Whether you want to set up computers, or TO in a certain part of the bracket.
Somebody that's not production, how would you get involved? Yeah.
If you're not doing grassroots and you haven't established yourself in a, like for instance, people in Oklahoma know who the hell I am, and other towns too. But if they don't know you, then from there you can just again Google. Say for instance, DreamHack. A lot of the DreamHacks, like for instance Dallas, they have a volunteer area. And that is a non-paid thing. You're going to have to travel down there, get your own hotel. They will feed you. And the cool thing about some of these areas is, like, for instance, DreamHack, if it wasn't Dallas, if it was like Atlanta, they have certain building or rooms inside they rent where they'll give you a cot you can sleep on. So you can sleep inside of it. They'll help you take care of that. But usually you got to get your foot in. So it's the spend money to make money routine. When I went to Gamers for Giving, I could have been paid for it. I could have had my flight. Everything. They paid for a hotel. They gave me food, but I paid for my flight because it was a charity thing. Well, because of me putting my foot down in that door and volunteering my time, DreamHack picked me up the same day and said, "Hey, we want you for Dallas." And then from that, it changed to Atlanta and to Anaheim. So that's how you do it. You just gotta show them what your worth is and why they should pick you up. But you don't know that unless you try.
Well,
It's like with UGC, whenever I got with them, they knew who I was. And they're like, hey, we'll fly you out here. We won't pay you very much off the rip because what our sponsors are. It's like, okay, but because I did that one thing where I busted my ass, they wanted me for more, and then I got called to do Red Bull Rise till dawn, and other factors. And so you just got to hustle. it's just a hustle,
Right.
man.
And I think there's a subtle thing that may not have came across very well what you were saying, and I want to kind of point it out. So it's not just the fact you're trying and like beating down fours; it's also the fact that you're good at. You've proven you can provide, like actually do something, right? So like, and say in your instance, like you were good at TOing, right? So like you proved that you came and helped out, like you nailed it, like you were good too. It wasn't just that you were there, like you also proved like, hey, I can run it, I can do this, right? So that's the other subtle part of that of like, and if you can't do that, then like how do you position yourself in a way where you can learn how to do it? So that's kind of a subtle, like people say, oh, just try. Well, like, yeah, try will only get you so far, right? Like you got to try. It's a combination of ingredients of I can do it, like I'm good at it, and I tried and I talked to the right person and got involved at the right place and made it happen, right? So there's kind of a set of ingredients there that you kind of got to get, maybe not all perfect, but you kind of got to get several things going for you before you can, finally launch into something big.
No, I agree. I was going to add. Go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I was going to say there's two types of people also when it comes to it. There's the type of people that, all right, you hired me for an admin job. I'm going to do the bare minimum. And then there's the extra that go around doing more, and your bigger bosses will see you're doing more, and they're going to want you compared to little Timmy over here that's just doing what he was hired for, It's just work ethic. That's all it is.
For sure. I was going to add, when you volunteer, you definitely want to be networking as well. I mean, you definitely want to be always. Like, hey, I'm Evan. This is my first time, but I'd really like to learn from you. Can I get your phone number, email address? And I'd love some pointers on how can I do better? Whether that's your boss or your coworker or, and as well as networking, you want to work hard. You can't show up and say, well, I put together 3 computers when I was asked to put 2 together, or I was asked to do 3 and I did 3. You gotta show up. You can't just relax like I'm relaxing. Like, you can't just lay back in your chair and just not like do it. Like, you have to go above and beyond. Because
you always do.
Not just you are trying to do that. There's a list of 50 other people that try to volunteer as well.
Trust me. You might have that paid position. Yeah, you might have that paid position, but if little Timmy over there that's unpaid busts his ass more, trust me, you're about to lose your spot. This isn't one of those, well, I'm in. No, you're going to lose your spot if you don't bust your ass. And that's the thing, too, is when you do these events, it's not a cakewalk. We're on our feet literally almost 18 hours. I clear about 25,000 steps a day minimum. And so by the time I get to bed, I get maybe 6 hours of sleep, but my legs are waterlogged from drinking. And I'm not pissing very much. So it beats you down, but it's its own experience, and it's enjoyable if it's a mind warp thing. And it, like I said, it's enjoyable, but it's not a cakewalk.
I mean, you see that main stage and you're probably like, hey, I helped put that together. Like, you see those 10,000 people in the stands, they enjoyed what I put together. Like, and then you have a good time and then you tear down. Like, it's something you can stamp your name to and have a picture and say, hey, I helped put this stage together. I'm ready for the next event. And you post it on LinkedIn and you go on your way.
Oh yeah, no, that's the great thing too. Is so before the tournaments we do is we'll have a session with all the players. It's usually like my buddy Dewey that runs the Gamers for Giving. He's usually the vocal man for DreamHack. I'll be there next to him just to explain more stuff. But we always want to engage with who we're around. Same as how we do in our Discords. We can let automatic tournaments run their stuff and don't give a shit, but we want to interact with everybody. We enjoy the troll fest. We enjoy laughing. We enjoy seeing the different levels of how gamers are, from skilled to toxic to whatever. But that's just how you grow a community, is you engage yourself in it. You don't think you're in a higher tier because of where you're at. You always want to be welcomed and loved by everybody. You don't want to think I'm king shit and then not get nothing for it,
I'm an admin of this Discord. You listen to me right now.
I get that meme so many times in Pro Guides, like, this is what the admin looks like, and it shows Gumball like all fat in like his little like computer geek area. I was like, I'm sorry you don't like my rules, bro, but I'm not going to let you harass other gamers because you think it's cool. Get the hell out of my Discord.
Chance, did you have any more that you wanted to add to that kind of working hard and volunteering?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be like esports specific, right? So there's a lot of stuff that transitions over to other related topics, right? So like, say you want to cast, or like maybe you can get involved with like a local sports league that needs a caster to put cast soccer, right? Like, there's all sorts of other
Yeah.
ways to get involved to get some reps in, right? Because some of this is just about getting repetition. So like, hey, go be a freaking radio DJ for a little while, right? Like, this is all crossover stuff. So like, everything kind of meshes together to a certain point. So like, hey, if your end goal is casting Rocket League, well, like maybe your first step is to go like help out with a radio station.
Volunteer.
I want to go help out casting a high school soccer game, right? Like you can like there's
Well,
all
yeah.
sorts of other ways to get involved. You don't have to be because like I feel like some people maybe just it's harder for them to get involved in esports right off because of the fact esports not everywhere yet. So that's kind of another thing that might be interesting to bring up is that you don't have to do esports specifically to start out, right? Maybe that's your end goal, but maybe you have 4 or 5 steps in between and you just kind of work your way that way. Or like production, right? You can run production for anybody, like maybe it's not going to be super esports specific, but like you can get involved, learn a lot in other industries or other, who knows? And so there's a lot of those cases where, if you're set up staging and stuff, like go get involved in concerts, right? Go be a stagehand, so like
Oh, yeah.
depending on what you're going to be involved in, like you can go get experience elsewhere. You don't have to go jump in, face first into esports. Maybe it's
I expect DreamHack to hire me tomorrow because I want it more.
or like, hey, if you got a
Right.
local high school and they do some esports tournaments or esports leagues, like go hit them up. It's like, hey, would y'all be interested in a caster? Like I'll volunteer. Like I'll just come show up. I'll cast. Like buy me lunch and I'm good. So maybe you can work some
That's
of
what I
that
tell
out.
people. I work off a handshake, Jack Daniels, and a pizza.
Exactly.
That's
So
what I
like, you
work
don't have
off
to
of.
think about like, oh, I'll never make it a dream hack or something. Like, I don't know, look around, find somebody you can get involved in locally, or even online. Like, hey, hit up somebody that's streaming. Like, hey, would you be interested in helping me cast? Like, here, I'll send you some like, here's some examples of me casting, and maybe we can hop on and help cast or something. Like, just kind of look around. There's opportunities everywhere. It's just a matter of you know, finding them and using your imagination a little bit too, because like it may not be exactly what you're looking for, but maybe it gets you one step closer.
I mean, we had
Well,
some
yeah.
casters. This is before we added Chance to the team. So obviously our production value was a lot lower because it was literally me and Johnny on an Xbox casting. But we had other streamers like, hey, I want to cast some of your games, and we're like, sure, hop on. Like, here's games that you guys can stream. We'll stream these others. You can get good at casting, save it, and then that helped us out also. And the fact that we could record their gameplay and
Yeah.
post it on social media, like post those clips of them casting. And so like that helped us out. It also helped them out of like if their end goal was to become a caster or
Those
to
reps
help
get some
run tournaments or something on the production side, then they got those reps in.
Yeah, I mean,
It was something
until
simple.
this year.
All they had was an Xbox.
Oh, exactly. It was easy. And until this year, I mean, I've casted small little things just for little events. Just 'cause they're like, hey, you want to be on camera? I was like, oh, sure. X Pro, let's talk about it. And then until this year took off, I never did casting. I mean, I enjoy the piss out of it. It's fun because you're engaging with your knowledge that's behind it. It kind of, wins you down in the vocal area, but it's not bad. But especially when, like I said, we've watched casters before, and if you don't have a personality for it, you sound like you're knocks on or your fingernails on a chalkboard. It's just how annoying it is. It's like he's shooting this person. Oh wow, he died. You can't say shit like that. You have to engage. You got to be hype.
exciting.
And a lot of people fail to realize that. But like Chance had mentioned, esports is more than pushing video games. You can be an engineer in it. You can be sports medicine, a journalism. You can be a camera operator. You can be security. There's so many aspects that ties into what we do in real life, but now in the video game aspect. So I mean, the possibility is endless.
Right. So you can be involved in esports and not even actually touch a controller ever. Right. Like there's all sorts of ways to be involved in anything. It's just a matter of like looking around and see what you can become involved in. And like you were saying about casting, like maybe you've never really done something, but you tried out and it's like the best thing ever. Right. You don't know know till you've tried it. So like there's all sorts of that type of stuff of like just give it a shot. You want to be involved in esports and don't know where, like just start trying stuff. Just start help TO a tournament or help run a Discord, help like just go play in a tournament. Like there's so many like
Intern.
you won't know till you tried it. So
Yeah, that's one thing we do too. Like intern.
Yeah, intern. I was gonna say maybe you find a tournament and you mute their stream and you start casting over it yourself. Like The possibilities
be
are
creative.
there's so many possibilities for casting. Because like that's what we did. We sent some raw footage to some other casters and or people that wanted to cast, and had them cast over it, and they sent it back. Like you just got to reach out. I mean, there's so many things that we can't do ourselves because we legitimately don't have the time.
If you're
there's
listening to
three of
this,
us.
you're interested in
3.5.
getting involved in sports, hit up one of the things at the bottom. Get a hold of us. We'll definitely help you.
Yeah, we'll get you in the right path.
But did you guys have anything else that you wanted to discuss, or anything that we skipped over that
We rambled long enough for tonight.
maybe something's tugging at your heartstrings?
Maybe take two next week.
Yeah, I mean, the 7 people that are going to watch this, if you have something that we skipped over that you want to know more about, comment on YouTube. Yeah,
YouTube. It doesn't matter. Just comment. Period. If you're on social and you tag us, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And we can talk about it if you have questions, or maybe you can audio record and we'll play it on stream or something. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, just grind. Just fucking grind. Don't let haters tell you you're doing something wrong, because clearly if you have haters, you're doing something right, because they're just mad they didn't think of it first.
Yep.
Simple.
Yeah.
But if that's it, guys, I'll go ahead and sign us off. This has been Click Gaming. Check us out at the socials below. Tag us in some of your clips, or submit your clips through our Discord, and you'll get featured on our social media. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.